hired to provide armed security officers for Alligator Alcatraz has been tied to countless allegations of human rights abuses, human trafficking, corruption, illegal weapons use, excessive force, and defrauding the government. Hi, I'm Kendall, and this is part 2 of my series, exposing the assholes who made Alligator Alcatraz happen. And you're going to want to stick around for this one because it is especially egregious. But first, a quick legal disclaimer since these assholes are very rich and, I assume, very litigious. Everything I say in this video is either publicly available information or my personal opinion. I am not doxing anyone, and I am not asking you, my audience, to harass anyone. I am asking you to help make profiting off of human suffering as socially toxic as possible. To help me do that, please make sure to engage with this video in all of the ways possible, as this series is already getting suppressed by the algorithm, and it's going to take all of us pushing to make sure this info actually gets out there. Now that that's out of the way, GardaWorld is a Canadian private security firm that operates in 45 countries and rakes in hundreds of millions in contracts from the U.S. State Department and other government agencies. They call themselves a global security powerhouse, but I just call them a bunch of mercenary thugs in polo shirts. Since the early 2000s, GardaWorld has had armed personnel deployed to war zones and high-threat areas like Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, Yemen, and Haiti, protecting embassies, oil fields, and honestly, whoever's paying them the most. If their name sounds familiar to you, it's likely due to their involvement in allegations of abuse and human rights violations of migrant children at the Fort Bliss detention camp in Texas after a September of 2022 report by the then HHS Inspector General detailed the grossly inhumane condition as many as 10,000 unaccompanied children were being kept in under GardaWorld's watch. Now, I could list everything they've been accused of, but that would make this video an hour long. So here's the speed run version of some of their worst international hits. In 2012, 2 GardaWorld contractors working in Afghanistan were detained on suspicion of smuggling after being found with an arsenal of unlicensed AK-47 assault rifles. In 2020, a former GardaWorld employee alleged the company had defrauded the federal government for 3 years by falsifying the training of nearly 100 guards and sending them to carry out assignments in Afghanistan without adequate training. In 2022, a former GardaWorld contractor from Uganda reported he was human trafficked by the company. And in 2023, 7 GardaWorld employees were arrested for carrying unlicensed weapons in Libya, and a subsequent investigation by the Libyan government turned up enough evidence of crimes and egregious behavior that the entire company was ordered to leave the country entirely. And GardaWorld's US and Canadian operations aren't much better. An in-depth investigation by the Tampa Bay Times found that GardaWorld's expansion into the armored truck industry has left a wake of bodies and mourning families behind them after the company spent so little on maintenance that its trucks lacked reliable brakes, seat belts, or even seats, and gave their drivers barely any training, pressured them to work at a frantic pace, and let some keep driving despite repeatedly causing accidents. The same investigation, incidentally, also found that Garda had lost track of millions of dollars that they had been entrusted to keep safe by multiple banks, and that the company subsequently concealed the missing money from the banks that were its clients. So they can't drive, they can't secure money, and they definitely can't keep people safe. But sure, let's put them in charge of guarding a human rights disaster in the middle of the Florida Everglades. GardaWorld was founded by Stéphane Crétier, a Canadian billionaire who's been living it up in Dubai since 2010. Because of course he has. And just like Carlos Duarte and Tina Vidal Duarte from my last video, Crétier has been working hard to launder his image with board seats at fancy nonprofit and arts organizations. One that really stuck out? He's affiliated with the Hirshhorn Museum and Sculpture Garden, which is a part of the Smithsonian. Yeah, you heard me right. The Smithsonian. As in, funded by us, the American taxpayer. Why the hell is an alleged war profiteer and human rights violator sitting on the board of a major cultural institution in our nation's capital? Great question. Maybe we should ask them. Luckily, they've made it real easy to do so on their social media. Bottom line, these companies are counting on you not paying attention. They're betting that no one will connect the dots between the fancy museum board and the child detention camp. So let's prove them wrong. Share this, talk about it, drag them publicly, because complicity thrives in silence, and I am not about to shut up. See y'all in the next video.